you heard about this and we have not, we will definitely talk about it together. Like I said, I love this convo. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for rocking
Appreciate
with
you.
us and giving that insight, brother Finestro, and everything you do, man. I appreciate you. I gotta call you this week, so I will. I do. But man, yeah, let's definitely continue the conversation here. And so I'm going to keep the show going, but we're going to talk about this topic at another time. We're going to continue having this conversation. In fact, this might actually be for us a theme or a motif. I'm going to call it a series. That makes more sense. A series that we're going to dive into deeper. But this came up when I was going through LinkedIn, and it's about unlimited PTO being problematic. I'm like, for who?
Mm.
And so I just want to talk about it real quickly, and then we're gonna get the show wrapping up pretty soon. Again, subscribe so you don't miss anything out here. But the double-edged sword of a limited PTO. So that was basically what popped up. And so they said unlimited PTO, as enticing the concept as it is, yes, it is enticing, granting
Very.
employees the freedom to take time as needed without rigid limits. However, the implementation of it often uncovers significant challenges for both employers and employees. Now, I kind of agree with that. Below is a breakdown of the pros and cons of this particular practice, and I have some notes here. But I want to stop here and say, listen, what are like some of the things that you have experienced when you're like, hey, I got a limited PTO, I love it, I'm gonna take advantage of it right now. What situations arise in your neck of the woods? Because I'll talk about mine soon. But
Mm.
it's supposed to provide flexibility and trust, right? It's supposed to give you time that if you need it, you can take it off, and the trust from both the employer and the employee that hey, I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to abuse this, but I'm going to use it, right? Increased job satisfaction is supposed to be a result of a limited PTO. Mental health boost, obviously, if you need a mental health day, listen, I can't come in today. I'm going to take it off. Recruitment appeal, because people want to know, hey, if I go to this company, they have that, I could basically utilize it as I choose. Underutilization is a big thing I've seen all across the board, where it's like we have a limited PTO, but I feel guilty of using it, or I feel like I got to do X, Y, and Z, and so I'm not going to use it, as well as the ambiguity of it saying like, hey, you say I have a limited PTO, but you're telling me that I can't take off time because you need me here for something. Uh, Something that I've experienced as well. And then managerial bias. So some people might get more PTO requests accepted and approved versus other people. Compliance
Yeah.
issues. Yeah, that's another thing that comes up as well, depending on your industry. Cultural misalignment. So there might be some things you might want to take time for in your culture that other people may be like that isn't valid. That's not a valid reason for taking time off. And then operational challenges. If everybody takes off at a certain period of time, then you gotta be like, well, you really can't take off because we need you here because if you're not here, it's not gonna be able to run the ship well. So I could go on to list and list, but we could definitely have a conversation about that. I'm gonna go to the comment section real quickly because Finestro says, does a limited PTO counteract with FMLA? That's a great question. That comes into play with the compliance issues, right? So a limited PTO can complicate adherence to mandatory leave laws like FMLA, ADA for disabilities, or paid sick times, potentially exposing employers to legal risk. So that is something that came up in the conversation as well. Recently, I had to take paternity leave, and I knew, even though I didn't say it, that if I was to like say, okay, I'm taking paternity leave and coming back and taking some more PTO right afterwards, that would be frowned upon, right? And
Hmm.
it's almost like you have to know the dance. You have to kind of read the room with when it comes to unlimited PTO. But honestly, we should all be using it if we have it. I know one company I worked for, they went from unlimited PTO at first, but then there were reps that were like, "Oh, I hit my quota, and I hit
Out
it
of
in the
here.
yeah, and for that quarter, and I hit it like the first week. I'll see you in 2 months. I'll see you in 2 months. And so people were like, oh, this can't like because imagine the operation costs if that person stayed and actually did more, the potential to actually close more deals and stuff like that. But the person's like,
then
listen,
the bro, then
the
the incentive has to be better. Like
mm-hmm,
you gotta sit down with that individual. Everybody is not like everybody's motivated by different stuff. So like you gotta that's where knowing your employees and really taking the time to figure out what makes them, you know, do what they do, and then you can move accordingly. Like there might be a certain subset of individuals who, hey, we got 2 slots for that. So the first 2 people who hit, then yeah, there might be an opportunity for you to just take off the rest of the quarter or the rest of whatever. After that, it's tiered, or maybe there's only 1 slot for that, right? Like set it up to where it's still, hey, there's parameters around that, but it still makes sense. Then maybe I don't know. I just think there is a space where that can happen, but it's still competitive and it still works. But anyway.
No, I agree. I think that and in fact, that same company decided to change the policy from unlimited PTO to what's called flex PTO or flex time, where basically it's like we'll let you go if you need to go, but you have to be flexible depending on what our business needs are, depending on what it is. We'll give you the time, but it has to make sense versus you just saying, nope, your policy says unlimited. So I'm taking that, because depending on the company, some reps would just hit their quota for the
Get
month.
it done.
And if they get a really good deal, probably that they're not maxed out for like half the month, H1 or H2, and they're like, listen, I'm out. Jet setting. And so there's that delicate balance. But listen, if you work for yourself, you don't have to worry about that.
No.
If you have your own business, you don't have to worry about that. I mean,
That's
honestly,
why you need to start that AI automation company.
Yeah.
And get going.
Yeah, and then that's one thing that's true. Unlimited, flex, whatever it is, PTO, as Tech Coach Ralph says, is always subject to approval. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So, and I'm a person that normally don't take a lot of PTO off unless it's like sick or if it's like a special, like, okay, it's anniversary time or something like that. But I think what I'm going to try to do is try to find that delicate balance because you need to take time off. And more, especially as we continue to transition. I would say into busier times. I don't know if that's a word I would use, but definitely something that you definitely need to take advantage of. So I would encourage anybody who does have PTO, unlimited or flex, definitely utilize it in a powerful way to make the best for yourself. Try to get it in as early as you can, those requests, and don't be like me and not use it at all, even if you got it.
I hear you. I'm the same way, bro. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. It shouldn't be, but like I think that's gonna sound ridiculous. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Like sometimes, like I know people who like don't care at all. Like, yo, this is my time. I'm taking it. But I think I'll be like empathizing too much with like the other stuff that's going on around. Like, yo, if I'm off, then that mean they got to do more, or like. And so if I don't really have like if it is something like, oh, it would be a good rest day, I still won't do it. But I think I need to change that mindset. Like, you know what? It's set up for this. I need to take this time to recharge and then come back better. But I'm with you, bro. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Ty's comment here. He says, SHRM, which I believe is the Society for Human Resources Management, says that employees take an average of 16 days, and workers with regular PTO take an average of 14 days. So that shows you, if that's a limited PTO is 16, and the average that shows you that average is pretty close there. So so are you maxing out that benefit? And ultimately it comes down also to, if you're performing well at work, then it's could probably be easy. You might feel, I'm gonna say you're performing well, but like if you're like blowing it out, and sales is different, because sales, if you leave your job for a period of time, you kind of take a back step. Not of any of your choice, but because of the fact that that momentum is lost sometimes. That's what can also discourage people in our industry from doing that. So yeah, because your money's tied to it. Your commissions, everything is tied to that. So it kind of forces you to actually stay there. And Tech Coach Rouse says, I always work on my day off. Yeah, I try to have a 6-day work week. Saturday's my 6th day, and then Sunday's my rest.